On this Friday morning with Woj, who is fired up and ready to go for another big hour, with Russillo, who's still trying to figure out the Celtics, and with Jalen Rose standing by live in Los Angeles. We are ready to go. Welcome back to Get Up for another hour, coming to you live from the Seaport District at Pier 17, brought to you by Chase. And here's what's on the menu. We're getting up with the Sixers. Joel Embiid earns one more shot to keep the process alive in Game 7. Then the Warriors need to win 1 out of 2 without the best player in the world to keep their three-peat hopes alive. So why is all the pressure on the other team? And the Lakers. I've run out of adjectives. Woj is here to figure out who's to blame and who's the right person to figure out this mess. Let's go. Another hour of Get Up right now on ESPN. And we begin Game of the Night. A game the Sixers needed to win at home against Toronto to force a Game 7. Look at this. You got Joel Embiid. Wants a little handshake from Pascal Siakam, who's having none of that. Look, man, you've been sick. I'm not getting involved in any of that. Well, let's just see how this would go. Would it be healthy Embiid or not so healthy Embiid? On this night, it's Jimmy Butler throwing it up, and it's Ben Simmons throwing it down. Sixers looking good early, a 10-point lead as Philly is throwing up lobs. Now, Butler, yes, he had a very big first half. Sixers up 13 after the free throw. Under 20 seconds to go, and watch Jimmy Butler getting work done. First, going strong to the hole, absorbing some contact, gets that to go. Now, keep an eye on him. We got 10 seconds left in the half. He's playing defense. Ball's going to get to Kawhi Leonard. Look at the D from Jimmy Butler, and now he's racing the length of the court. 3, 2, 1, beats the buzzer. 9 made field goals in the first half for Jimmy Butler, most in any half of his playoff career. Sixers up 15. Then the third quarter would belong to that man. Joel Embiid with an 11-point lead. Watch him absorbing the contact from Marc Gasol. Yes! Plus a foul. Embiid feeling good. Later, Embiid on the defensive end. Kawhi Leonard. Get that out of here. Embiid meets him at the rim. What a picture that is right there. And he wasn't done. Here's another. Leonard driving, Embiid swatting, and now we're running, and keep an eye on Ben Simmons. Look at the speed from the big fellow there. And this basically is a microcosm of exactly the dream of the process. It's Embiid blocking a shot on one end. It's Simmons running the floor
Mike Scott
on the other. Mike Scott being a huge role in all of that. Here's Embiid throwing in a 3. He had 17 and 12, plus 40 on the night for Joel. We're going to Game 7 in Toronto on Sunday. Sixers with the win they needed.
Man, if you play bad, you want to come back the next game and play better. Up there in Toronto, we felt like we made a lot of mistakes, and tonight they had to be corrected. Got to come in and, fight. Our back was on the line tonight. I feel like our back is still on the line. He's on the line, so it's all about defense. If we play defense like we played tonight, in Game 2 and 3, we feel like we can beat anybody.
So the Raptors won games 4 and 5 in transition, but the Sixers clamped down in that area yesterday. According to Second Spectrum, Toronto was just 4 of 15 in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock. They'd been shooting 65% in that circumstance in the previous 2 games. And so let us go live to Los Angeles. The one, the only, Jalen Rose is ready to go. Good morning, Jay. And I want to ask you the question I opened the show with this morning, and that is, the Sixers are confounding. Why is it that some nights they look so good as they did last night, and others, they just look like they want nothing to do with it?
Well, Greeny, they've changed their identity since the beginning of the season. Anytime you have cornerstone-type players in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, you want those guys to be the calling card to what you're trying to get accomplished as a team. Then when you bring in Jimmy Butler as well as Tobias Harris to go with J.J. Redick, I felt like they had the second-best starting lineup in the entire NBA to the Golden State Warriors. But once the playoffs start, Ben Simmons can't be your primary ball handler per se. They've given that job to Jimmy Butler to initiate their offense, run pick and rolls, and his aggression got himself going early. For Ben Simmons, it's open floor situations, steals, blocks, deflections, offensive rebounds. When the floor is broken, Ben Simmons can now drive to the basket and get layups, get dunks. We know he won't shoot the basketball outside of the paint. But again, this was all about Jimmy Butler. His competitiveness, his tenacity is what drove their basketball team the entire game.
Jalen, one of the things I was looking at is Embiid and Simmons in that combination. Embiid wasn't a big part of the offense, but Simmons was so aggressive to start after a really bad Game 5. Is that a great sign that he's answering, or that he has to have a bad game to be that motivated to come out that strong?
Well, Double R, you know this. It's all about how he's getting his. A couple of times early in the game, it was like a tip ball off an offensive rebound. He got a layup. Then there was a steal when somebody deflected it. He got another layup. And then all of a sudden, he started getting himself going. And when they're controlling the backboard, it allows him to go downhill for his opportunities to get layups and to get dunks. He had 21 points. That was a season high. He finished with both hands. He jumped off both feet. Ben Simmons did a terrific job of attacking and performing like an all-star player.
Where do you see the edge now? Obviously, winner-take-all game on Sunday. That feels like it has a lot of ramifications for both teams, sort of where they are in their current states. Where's the advantage in your mind going to Toronto?
I see the edge with Jurassic Park and the Toronto Raptors. They beat the brakes off of the Philadelphia 76ers the last time they played on the road. The wild card for me is going to be, can Joel Embiid have a breakout game? I anticipate Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam are going to play well at home. Usually on your home floor, your role players tend to knock down shots and have a lot more confidence. I'm still waiting on Danny Green to do that also. If the Philadelphia 76ers are going to win Game 7 on the road, where is Joel Embiid? I know he had some good blocks yesterday, but in 5 of the 6 games in this series, he scored less than 20 points. If he can get going in Game 7 and really be dominant, that gives them an opportunity to win on the road.
And super quick before we move on to something else, Woj, if I could just bring you in on this here quickly. You told me earlier this morning this game does not one way or the other make or break Kawhi Leonard's future. He does not make up his mind of what he wants to do going forward based upon how deep this team goes in the playoffs.
All these decisions are so complex and there's so many factors. They're never, very rarely ever built around one round, one game. This is a life decision for a player who's already won a championship, is not ring chasing right now. Where does he want to live? Where does he want to play?
All right. Again, I'm going to keep trying to push the simpler narrative on you, but it seems not to work no matter how hard I try.
Hey, Woj, when you were with me in podcast, you had said that Toronto still has work to do. Has that improved in their Kawhi pursuit?
It has improved, and they knew all along it was going to take all season to recruit Kawhi Leonard. I know they've made progress. I know he's warmed to the place, but there's a big difference between getting in the conversation with a player to keep him and getting him to stay. The Clippers are still in a pretty strong position to lure him in July.
All right. So again, this will probably not make or break his decision, but it does feel like a big game for Leonard and the Raptors. Meanwhile, Jalen, we need to get to Kevin Durant and the Warriors. He will miss the remainder of the series, as everybody now obviously knows, against the Rockets.